Today I felt like we could discuss one of my favorite lines of fragrances from one of my favorite cheapy houses. Now when I say cheapy house, when they hit the discounters, they get pretty cheap. They are known most iconically for, and as far as fragrances are concerned, for fierce. We're talking about Abercrombie and Fitch, of course. But my personal favorite line is actually the First Instinct line. Today I thought we'd have a brief discussion, kind of a line review of all 4 fragrances available. So stay tuned. So obviously, the first fragrance in the line is the original First Instinct Eau de Toilette. So these do show up at the rack stores, and that's going to be the cheapest place to get them, because it's actually cheaper at Marshall's and TJ Maxx and places like that, because they show up for $20, $25, $30 depending on the bottle size, versus the $30 range, $25, $30 range online at the discounters, and sometimes a little bit more depending on where you find it. But man, I love the way that smells. But with the original, it's much more fruity. There's actually a gin note up top. The line itself is known for having, at least the original DNA, for having a muskiness and a little bit of spice to it. In the instance of the original, it's more of a fresh spice, but the muskiness is definitely there. And like I said, there's this melon note up top that gives us this beautiful citrus, fruity citrus quality, and this kind of dry gin note that adds that tonic, gin and tonic water type of smell to it. It's aquatic, it's fresh, it's a little musky, a little spicy. Decent performer, but actually a very, very easy wear, very pleasant fragrance, because the entire line is very easy to wear. It's not anything challenging or overly complex with these fragrances. These are easy to just grab, spray a few times and go. You know you're going to smell good. People around you most likely are going to think you smell good as well. A bit more on the youthful side, sure. I mean, it's Abercrombie and Fitch. It's geared towards the younger man. That's where their marketing campaigns go, towards the younger man. But there's no reason guys of any age can't enjoy this, especially something like the original. In the high heat, in the hot weather, this doesn't smell like every other fresh fragrance out there. It smells like First Instinct. It kind of has its own smell. And definitely a great fragrance to grab. I always say it's best to start with the original DNA before you start jumping into its flankers. And that's no different with the First Instinct line. The original First Instinct Eau de Toilette. Absolutely a beautiful DNA that's just wonderful for the heat. Now on the flip side of that, we have First Instinct Extreme. So when this started hitting the rack stores back in mid-2019, everybody was rushing out to get them. That's when these were really hitting the rack stores heavy. But this is the main thing people were sought after. I know I was one of the ones that was eager to get my hands on a bottle. And this is a 50 ml bottle. The previous bottle was a 100 milliliter bottle. Now with this one, it's got this coconut milk that adds a creaminess to it. This is much more musky and spicy and less on the fruity, fresh citrus. Obviously, with it being a more dense fragrance. This is the powerhouse of the line. This is the 8+ hour fragrance. I mean, those with drier skin probably around 5 or 6 hours, but for the average guy, and in my case, 8 to 9 hours for sure. And it's loud. This is strong projection for 2 to 3 hours, depending on your skin. And it's an all-day spray. You know, for the average work day, it's going to be around 8 hours, 9 hours. Some, depending on your work setting, you may work outdoors, burn this off quicker, and work longer 10, 12-hour shifts. Obviously, your job is subject to change on how these fragrances are going to work, depending on your situation. But definitely the one that works well in the cooler weather. Yes, you can wear it year-round if you really want to, but I feel like it's a little bit heavier wear, a little bit spicier and muskier and dense than you would want in the high heat, because it's going to get a little cloying. That's where the original comes in. This is, if you really like the original, this is more your fall and winter version of that fragrance. And like I said, it's definitely the most powerful in the line. It's the only bottle that you cannot see through easily. I mean, if you put a light up to it, you can still kind of see. I mean, you can't see it in the camera right now, but if you put a light behind it, you'll be able to see the juice level in the bottle. But it's the only one that's not a completely translucent bottle in this lineup. And like I said, it's the powerhouse and the most desirable one for those that are looking for a strong performer, because some of these are not that great of performers, but this one is definitely not slacking in that category, and popular for a reason, because it smells great. And that's First Instinct Extreme. So now at the recording of this video, this was actually my scent of the day, and it's one of my favorite fragrances to wear to the gym. Namely, because it smells really, really good. It doesn't perform that well. It's loud for that first 45 minutes or so. It's got really, really strong projection, and then it's maybe a 3-hour fragrance at best. Some I've heard say they get less longevity than 3 hours. I get about 3 hours, and that's First Instinct Blue. It's another one, like I said, you can see translucent. One of the best looking bottles, really. I love that deep dark blue. It's the only one with the black cap in the line. Ambroxan's not listed as a note in the official note breakdown, but it definitely smells like some Ambroxan. And it's a blue fragrance through and through. This fits your typical blue style fragrance. Mass appealing, Ambroxan, synthetic, fresh, a little green herbal. It's versatile. You can wear it for anything. It's light enough to wear in the summer. Would not wear this in the cold though. That's the thing. The first 45 minutes will cut through the cold, but it's going to disappear after that. That's the downside and the knock on First Instinct Blue. It doesn't perform that well. Like I said, loud up top, but fades fast, sadly. If they had a First Instinct Blue Extreme, it'd probably outsell the regular First Instinct Extreme or Blue Intense or something like that, because the smell, the scent on this one, it smells really, really, really good. All of the fragrances in this line do, in my personal opinion. This one just needs some performance. If it could get 5 hours of longevity even, it would change the game for this fragrance. It really would. That's the knock on it. I don't blame people for passing on it because they hear the performance woes that it has. But if you have situations where a 3-hour fragrance will work for you, which I do, that smells really good, it's worth the 20 bucks you're going to pay. My son's got a 30 ml bottle. He's about halfway through. And I'm starting to slowly put some sprays and knock this down a little bit because I like wearing this one to the gym. 3 sprays, one on my chest, one on each side of the neck, and I'm good. Because it's going to be loud for the beginning of my workout, and I'll get whiffs of it, and it's plenty. It's a good refresher throughout the day. There's always a use for a weaker performing fragrance. You just got to see where it fits into your lifestyle. And this is one of those fragrances with First Instinct Blue. And last is the newest release from 2020 from this year. I did an individual review on this fragrance, which normally I would put an iCard for that video, but we're about to cover pretty much all of it and the information on it anyway. This is First Instinct Together. My favorite bottle looks like the Invictus Aqua 2018 bottle with that light blue to clear gradient design. Only it's clear to light blue actually with this one. And it's going to remind you of Invictus Aqua. More slight Invictus Aqua, Invictus bubblegum with Invictus Aqua freshness. The First Instinct Eau de Toilette's DNA. And a little touch of YSLY. It's kind of the mashup that makes this fragrance. And this is a great fragrance. I actually have a backup bottle of this one. I've been wearing this one I've had it for less than 2 weeks. I've worn it 3 or 4 times now. This is an awesome fragrance to me. If you like any of those fragrances that I listed, Invictus Aqua, either version, the 2016 or the 18, the new to current, the original First Instinct, or any of the YSLY flankers, whether it's the Eau de Toilette, the Eau de Parfum, or YSLY Live, you're going to be reminded of those fragrances. With this, it's very synthetic, don't get me wrong, but this one's kind of, the performance is strange on this one because in that first 2 hours, this is quite loud. First hour, loudest fragrance in the line in the first hour. Fills a room almost. This stuff is extremely loud. It doesn't list any Ambroxan, just like Blue doesn't, but I actually get the musk in this one I find is more of a synthetic salty ambergris. It's a salty Ambroxan, if you will. That's where the musk comes off to me. I'm thinking that's what's giving me that smell is the clean musk, but it's more of a synthetic ambergris, which is just an aquatic salty version of ambroxan basically. So pretty loud up top. I get about 5 hours of longevity out of it, which if Blue had 5 hours of longevity, man, I feel like they took this and twisted it into this, you know? Like this is what they were kind of trying to do with this one. But they don't smell the same at all. They both are good individually in the scent category. It's just this one outperforms it. But this is no superstar in performance either. Just like the original, it's about 5 hours, maybe 6 hours, and then you need to refresh. But it's definitely one of those fragrances that's going to garner you some attention. It's a compliment machine. It's super, super mass appealing. I've experienced more positive attention from this one than any of the others in the line, and all of them smell great. All of them have garnered me positive attention at least once upon wearing from somebody around me. But in my opinion, if you can find this one, 20 bucks for a 50 ml, you need to grab this one if you like any of those fragrances that we discussed, whether it be the original First Instinct, Invictus Aqua, or YSL-Y, or a combination of, because it kind of mashes them all together and it does it really well. Is it going to be for everybody? No, I could see this inducing ambroxan sensitive noses to migraines and headaches because it is strong and piercing up top. If you don't like that type of stuff, like if Dior Sauvage is nauseating or headache inducing for you, you're not going to like this. This is that type of synthetic strength up top. It's very chemically. It's very, very chemically smelled, strong ambroxan note, even though it's not listed. I'm telling you, it's there. But if you like that type of stuff, ambroxan, blue fragrances, mass appealing, you need First Instinct together. That is the entire First Instinct line. I'm eager to see what they will do, if anything, for a fifth fragrance in the line. I would assume in 2021, if they're going to do anything, maybe an eau de parfum version, because that seems to be the new cool hip thing, is to do an EDP version of the original. So instead of, even though we already have the extreme of the original, maybe a First Instinct eau de parfum where they literally take this and just thicken it and dial up the performance, because this is spicier and muskier and all that, but this is still fresh. If you could get this freshness and dial up the performance, maybe that would be a good way to go for the line, where they can shake things up a little bit and just kind of add something without going off the side with changing the DNA too much and just making an entirely different fragrance that doesn't fit the line. That would be a good idea, I would think, because that kind of seems to be the craze, is to go with an EDP version of something now. Really like this line. Like I said, you can get them cheap at the rack stores. I encourage you, if you haven't tried any of them and you see one when you're at Marshall's or something like that, give it a shot, no matter which one of the four it is. Just give it a shot if you like anything about anything I just said about these four fragrances. And until next time, do me a real quick favor, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe. Do appreciate all the feedback. I love hearing from you guys. How many of you have already tried these? How many do you have? Do you just have one? Do you have all four? What do you think about them? Let me know down in the comments. Until next time, I will say, if you get your hands on the First Instinct line from Abercrombie and Fitch, and you give any of them a spray now, who knows? You might end up thanking me later. Have a good one, guys.